A big talking point on a lot of PSVR2 forums such as the Reddit and Twitter and the Discord for PSVR2 Without Parole is a big one, is why a lot of launches come out broken and why a lot of launches are being delayed. And today we're tackling the second topic on that list. Why do we have so many delays? Because just for this month, we've had Phasmophobia been delayed, and now we've had Vertigo 2 been delayed. Now, both of these games are delayed for very different reasons, and it's not a one-off either. We've had other games be delayed, like VR Skater was on my upcoming Games of the Month list for, I think, 3 months running. It finally is out now, but these two games that have just been delayed, we're not sure when they're going to come out. We're going to dive in today and see why they've been delayed and when we might be able to expect them, and talk about the state of PSVR2 launches in general, because we've had a couple of games like Firewall Ultra that have come out and have really not been up to the par and standard of a game with Sony's branding on it. And while Firewall might be a lot better now, and I'll probably cover that in a video in a couple of days, it still could have used a better launch. But for now, let's dive straight into the two delays that we've just had, and that's Phasmophobia and Vertigo 2. Starting off with the easier one of the two, at least in my opinion, to tackle, we have Vertigo 2. This is a single-player story game by an indie dev that has been claimed to have been pretty much the best PCVR title that there has been for a very long time. I was very excited for it to come out. I think it was meant for October 24th of this year, and it's now been delayed until at some point from now until the end of the year. Now, this isn't actually being ported by the original developer themselves, it's being ported by Perp Games, and they've had a couple of launches which have been a little bit rough. Tennis on Court, I think, was published by them, and that really was rough, especially in the review copies that people got sent out. So I'm really hoping Vertigo 2 sticks the landing and gets a port that it really deserves. But to be honest, it could go either way. The fact that they have delayed it does give me a bit of confidence that it's going to come out polished, but the bottom line of it is that this is out of the developer's hands. This is just a publishing studio that's porting it, and Perp Games have to get it up to a standard where it runs well and it looks good. I'm not sure whether Vertigo 2 is developed in Unity or Unreal. I feel like it might be in Unity, and from what I've heard, that's really hard or impossible to get dynamic foveated rendering working in it. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially where the lenses and the cameras in your VR headset track where your eyes are looking to make essentially the graphics of where you're looking look better than where you're not looking, to save on performance and make the game look a lot better than it would be without it. Perhaps that's why Vertigo 2 has been taking a while to develop and why it's been delayed, is because they need to get that tech properly working to make the game look and run as good as it can do. It seems like this was a publisher decision, as you would probably expect it to be, because the Vertigo 2 dev on their Twitter said that they've just been informed that they'll have to delay the release, meaning that it probably wasn't their choice. But if it comes out for a better, finished product when it does come out, then I'll be happy. Of course, I'm disappointed that it's not going to be coming out this month. It was one of my most anticipated releases for October, but it'll come out when it comes out, and hopefully it'll be polished when it does. The more nuanced of the two is Phasmophobia, though. This is a game that has essentially been through what looks like development hell for its console ports, because it's been now delayed indefinitely. This might be just to get it running well, improve the performance, and to get the PSVR 2 version polished, because I've heard that while the VR version on PCVR is fun, it's not exactly the most seamless and fleshed out experience. It's a little bit janky, and to be honest, I would settle for that on PSVR 2. If it's on par with the PCVR version, that's fine by me. But of course, this is a small dev team we're talking about, and they probably want to get it as polished as possible. Therefore, they've delayed it a second time, as it was meant to be scheduled for the week leading up to Halloween. That would have been perfect timing, but it could be that we see it by the end of the year, or maybe at the start of next year. But as I said, this is a very small dev team on Phasmo, and they've got a very big task of porting. We have got to consider, though, that Phasmophobia is being made for essentially 3 consoles. It's being made for Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, and PS5, and on top of that, they've got the PSVR version to make as well, and PSVR is a very different beast to PCVR, so they can't just port that straight over and expect it to work flawlessly. That is a massive task for a dev team that really isn't that big. I do have to say, though, they probably shouldn't have given, the time frame that they did concerning the release of Phasmophobia. We were given a time frame of September and then pushed to October because of an in-house fire, and they're now learning to work from home, which is fair enough, but a lot of people, including myself, thought that because of the lack of communication and the radio silence from the devs, that it probably wasn't going to be coming out anyway in September without the studio fire that they had. But ultimately, as long as it comes out polished, I'll be happy. But it is a bit of a weird one. That it's a project that seems to be in a bit of limbo, because these teams are going to have to balance updating the PC version and working on the PSVR, PS5 and Xbox version. But if it comes out, it probably will be one of the best horror games on console, because this is a game that is hopefully going to be crossplay. It's going to be a hybrid game on flat and VR, and it's going to be a 4-player co-op game that you can play with friends with proximity voice chat, and that's exactly what we want out of those type of games. We're very short on 4-player co-op experiences, especially on PlayStation. The best ones I've played are Generation Zero and other games like The Forest. We might be getting Sons of the Forest in the future. Hopefully we get a VR port for that as well, but for now we're waiting on Phasmophobia for that experience, and to get it in VR, which is now confirmed, is going to be great. We just don't know, of course, when that is. However, even though nobody likes a delayed game, I'd prefer a polished one to an unfinished one. I would have happily taken a month's delay on Firewall if they were going to push it back and polish it up to the place where it apparently is now, because that pushed away a lot of the player base when the game came out, and it's what I'm worried is going to happen possibly to the Ghostbusters VR game coming out next week. This is a game that I've not been sent a review code for at the time of recording, and neither has anybody else. Speaking to other creators like PSVR2 Without Parole, Beardo Benjo, GTVR, any of those guys, they also have not got review keys, and it's not because the game is always online, because it isn't. I would understand that they wouldn't want to send a review key out if it was too much hassle for them to organize online sessions before the release of the game. But the game can be played entirely solo, the devs have said, so there's no reasoning why they couldn't send keys out and be like, maybe wait off covering the co-op aspect of the game, but just review the game systems in single player before the game comes out. They haven't done anything like that, and I'm slightly worried for the state of that game. It seems to be one that they're not really too confident in if they haven't pushed review keys out before launch, and I'm really hoping for the best with Ghostbusters, because a couple of people that I'm friends with, I record with, very excited for it. I was kind of excited for it as well, but seeing this has made me a little more worried, but I'm hoping for a smooth launch. However though, we've got a load of other good games coming out in the rest of October and moving into November, and I'd say keep a lookout for a couple of games like Breaches is a big one. One of the best PCVR and Quest titles there is if you're a fan of Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, or a fan of any of those slower paced games, you know, like Insurgency or Siege. That's one to look out for. And there are plenty of other games coming out like that. We've got Into the Foglands coming out, we've got Journey to Foundation, plenty of stuff to look forward to. But it is, you know, a shame that we've had a couple titles that have been delayed and also just rushed and unfinished. And I'm hoping this doesn't become a trend as we move forward, because it really sucks and it doesn't really help the ecosystem. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the 2 delays that we've recently gotten and the upcoming slate that we have going forward past October into November. So thank you for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe, and hope to see you all in the next video.